It's live. Okay. Excellent condition. Okay, apologies. Apologies for my tardiness. It is 10:05 in the AM here in Selbridge. I'm going to put on my phone on airplane mode because I don't want any interruptions. So let me check, make sure everyone can hear me and stuff. Okay, we're good. Good morning. This is the official return of Coffee and Composing. Friday mornings. I've got coffee. I've got composing. Yeah. So the last few months have been really busy. I've been trying to do lots of different types of things, work on Substack and content creation, and try and get in the frame of mind of moving away from the more short form, TikTok-y, throwaway kind of content and a little bit more long form video and newsletter and things like that, because that's kind of where I want to be as kind of from a creative and artistic point of view, is trying to make things that matter. Here I see my camera again is kind of lopsided. There is always something. So if you are thinking about starting live streaming or any of that stuff, just bear in mind that the logistics, there is always some portion of the logistics where you'll turn it on and it will just be like, this doesn't work. Like today, the streaming software, I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but you're here, so why not listen? Streaming software, OBS is what I'm using, and it told me no, I couldn't connect. These kind of things. And then you need to start at a certain time, and this is when the problems arise. But it's really true of if you're a live musician, this happens to you on a daily basis. So you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When things go wrong, things always go wrong. And to be prepared for things going wrong. That's really important. So today is the first of my 2 live streams. So broadcast Friday morning into the wild world. It was absolutely torrential rain here this morning, and now the blue skies have come out and the birds are chirping, and it is time to get working on some music. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to have a go through of the second template, the second Logic template that is currently up for sale on my website. And considering it's Black Friday today, as this goes out, it'll be on sale for half price for another couple of days. So if you're watching this in and around the 28th of November, the template will be half price, and I'm going to put that in the link here now as well. Let me see. Yeah, I should have done. I should have done this beforehand. So last week we talked about the kind of orchestral one. Where are we? It's hard to think and type and look for things all at the same time, so bear with me. Last week I went through the orchestral one. So these are templates made for Logic Pro, to kind of introductory templates to get you started on film scoring. So this one is, last week was a kind of run-of-the-mill orchestral, bread and buttery kind of one. This one's a little bit more genre specific. So this one is a template like a sci-fi hybrid kind of a template. And the great thing about this is it uses everything comes in the box in Logic. So if you're a Logic user, these are all things that you can find. And absolutely, you can make these presets or make these templates yourself. And please do, because template making is actually more fun than you think. Sorry for the unwanted ASMR there of coffee slurping. But hey, it's caffeine composing, so you know, maybe we'll sample that, make it into a tune. If you have any questions about stuff that you would like to see on the live stream, or if you'd like kind of, a deep dive into some area of composing. So what I'm going to be doing, I'll give you my big list of overall general topics that I'll be talking about in these, both in my Substack newsletter and in these live streams. So I really can't read and talk at the same time. So things like orchestration. Orchestration is relatively new to me, as in, the last couple of years. So maybe the last 4 or 5 years. My background before that was kind of contemporary music, traditional kind of production, songwriting. So orchestral writing is a constant learning experience for me too. So I'll be covering things at orchestration that I'm learning and putting together. Things about Logic Pro, minimalist composing, which I'm really into, sample libraries, plugins, guitar. I'm a guitar player first and foremost, it's my first instrument, and electric guitar and making textural electric guitar stuff for film scoring is really up high on my list. It's something that I love to do, so I'll be talking about that. So obviously guitar effects and effects on plugins in general. Absolutely love them. I'm not a mad analog effects person. I don't have tons and tons and tons of pedals. It's on my list of things that I would like to have at some stage. I'd like the real dream to make a sample library of ambient guitar textures, using really cool actual gear, so live valve amps and analog pedals and things like that. But that's for another video down the line. Transcriptions, reharmonization, melody writing, MIDI stuff, mixing. Then there's a whole series of film composition kind of genre specific or overall kind of ideas that come up in film scoring. So stylistic choices, instrumentation, hybrid scoring, sound palettes, genres, thematic writing, emotional writing. I'm reading off my list here, so that's why I'm looking up over your eyeline. Found sound, which is something I never really thought I would have gotten into, but I did my master's thesis using found sound, and I found an absolute love for sound creation and using alternative things for composition, which I love. Writing for video games and non-linear music, and then kind of something that I touch on in the newsletter today, and I forgot as well, if you're also watching this, the newsletter on Substack is where I've kind of moved all of my socially kind of stuff. Let me just get the most recent post, because that is ties in with what I'm just talking about here. Repost, yes please. Here. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. So yeah, come on, say hi if you're around. No pressure. Put on a coffee, say hello. I am going to jump into Logic now in a few minutes and show you this template. Where was I? I was talking about stuff that I will be talking about on the live streams. So where did I put it? It went missing. This is another thing. Preparation is key. Prepare. Fail to prepare. Prepare to fail. That's what Roy Keane says. And he's right. So, yes. Before I diverted to the newsletter. So please go check out my newsletter. And this week in particular talks about some kind of techniques that are specific to film music and a kind of an analysis of film music. There was a book written by a French film theorist called Michel Chion, I believe. And he coined all of these terms relating to cinematic music and film scoring in general. So things like diegetic and non-diegetic sound, which is, very broadly speaking, it's kind of the music that would naturally occur in a scene, and then music that exists nowhere in the reality of the scene. I think, to say that very simply, it's not that simple. So diegetic music would be if a radio is playing, the characters within the scene can hear the radio. If there's non-diegetic music, it means there's an overscore. So when Jaws arrives on the beach, in the sea, beside the beach, no one on the beach can hear John Williams' score. That's non-diegetic. I didn't explain that very well, but I explain it better in my newsletter. So check it out there. Empathetic, non-empathetic, fantastical gap, temporalization, audiovisual counterpoint. All of these cool topics. I might have mentioned some of this before, but I'm mentioning it again now. So and then we have other stuff like the business of film composing. So getting gigs, how to budget for projects, networking, defining your niche, and social strategies. So content strategies, how do you make content? And with all of these things, I'm learning all of these things for myself. So a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go back to college and do a master's in film scoring. And before then, I was a regular gigging musician. I still am gigging musician, teacher, and as you know, if you're a musician of any kind or a composer, you've done all these different types of jobs that are in and around the orbit of music. And they've all gotten a lot more complicated in recent times due to having to be a content creator and make stuff and appease algorithms and brand yourself and all of the things that play on your mind to try and kind of eke out a career in this kind of nebulous business. So I will talk about kind of the way I see it and some of the things that have helped me. They may not be for you, but maybe you'll find some of them helpful. And if you do find them helpful, let me know, because the things that you find helpful, I would like to talk more about. And also I would like to learn from you about the things that, have helped you out, because it's an awful lot to hold in your head. And so, business, film composing, social strategies, and artistry it should be number one on your list, really. But the kind of philosophy of why you create things, personal development, being seen, being vulnerable, your artistic flow, what does that look like? Showing your work and your messy process. So I'm a big believer in knowing yourself as an artist, because ultimately it all comes down to decision making. the most complicated orchestral arrangement and session that you'll ever be on with, say an 80-piece orchestra with everything going all at once. Ultimately, it comes down to micro decisions. And the better you know yourself, the better informed you are to make those micro decisions. So I'll give you a quick example would be if you're somebody that goes through a lot of virtual instrument libraries, and that's nice, on to the next one, that's nice, on to the next one, and you just auditioning, knowing what sounds speak to you as an artist and as somebody who wants to use these things. That is absolutely invaluable in your decision making. So maybe you're a person who's like, I always use this as an example because it's something that happened to me. I love using the celeste or the celeste, but when used in a certain way, the celeste or the celeste, whatever way you like to pronounce it, can sound like Christmas bells. And this does not go well with all directors because they suddenly start hearing Christmas bells and that's all they can hear. Now, that's like an extreme example of it, but I like to use that instrument. I'll always have it in my sonic palette. Now, I don't have it in the templates that I'm talking about today, but 9 out of 10 times. I love something that kind of gives that high-end kind of bright excitement, mid-range to high-end area of the sonic palette. But that's me. That's personally what I like. So understanding who you are as an artist is it can go so long, or it can go so far in helping you to make these decisions. And that starts with understanding your artistry. Another example I could say was I was a guitar teacher for a long time, and one of the things that really struck me about so many students was they would come in on their first lesson and you'd say, why do you like guitar? And that's a difficult question to answer. I'll accept that. But you also say, who do you like that plays guitar? And no one can answer. And I'm not talking about like little kids who have no, experience of, bands and culture and that kind of thing yet. I'm talking about like teenagers who are going, I want to play guitar to be cool. And it's like, okay, that sounds great. To be cool, like who? So who are the people that influence you? You are, to a certain extent, you're kind of a product of your influences. And the more you know about how those influences affect you and how they help you make music and write music, the easier it'll be to make artistic choices down the line. So that's a lot to cover. But there, in a nutshell, is kind of what this channel is about and what I will be mostly talking about. So it's a very broad term, the composing part of coffee and composing. The coffee is only that I drink coffee while I'm talking to you. Because when you're sitting here on your own doing live streams, it can feel like you need it's like the Tom Hanks's volleyball. This is my Wilson. He's my co-presenter. Anyway, I'm going to shut up talking about all that kind of stuff now. I will check the chat and see, has anybody said anything? Not as of yet. That's fine. And we're going to jump here into Logic Pro. And I'm going to show you around my template. My secondary template. So I will play you the track first. This is a sample track just to kind of show what is in the template and what it sounds like. And it is called Flynn because the inspiration for this was Daft Punk and their Tron Legacy soundtrack. So I wanted to do something that was kind of sci-fi slash horror elements. But sci-fi is a big genre for me. Absolutely love it. And you know, when you think about your dream projects that you want to work on, sci-fi is there, you know. So yeah, I'll shut up and let's have a listen. And then it fades away. So, yeah, lots of different elements here, and I'm going to go through it really quickly. Really quickly. Well, we've got like half an hour. We can hang for a bit. So the groups that I've set up here it's hybrid because there are still orchestral elements in there as well. So it's not just synths and stuff. And I'll get into the synths in a few minutes. So I picked a couple of families from the orchestra. I left out woodwinds. One of the reasons I left out woodwinds because as a composer, writing for woodwinds, I find it a challenge. And I'm always looking for ways of how to orchestrate and make woodwinds sound less like, as my wife calls it, a Sunday afternoon murder mystery. So I have a habit, because I have a jazz background, I tend to write using kind of jazz arranging techniques that I learned like 20 years ago. And they were kind of my introduction into how to write for larger ensembles. And so it like the jazz harmony informs my composition, but that makes my composition sound like they were stuck in like 1975 Murder, She Wrote. And what seems to really amplify that is the fact that when you put them on woodwinds, it's just inescapable from that sound. So for this particular template, I did not want that sound. So I have left out the woodwinds because of it. I blame the woodwinds. The brass I have left in. So we've got trumpets, French horns, trombones, and tuba. Now, you can extend this and put in some bass trombones if you want, some more low end. But with synths, when synths are in a hybrid score, there is going to be a ton of sonic space that synths take up. It's just in their nature. They are big sonic fillers. So bear that in mind when you're putting together your templates with in this kind of hybrid way, that the frequency range of your percussion, of your synth, is going to be really, really big. The next section, I just have a smaller section for percussion. I didn't even use it on this track. I didn't use any percussion. Then I have some pitch percussion, and here's my friend the celesta, and we'll see what we did with that in a minute. Then we have our synth section, which I'll come back to in a second. Let me just cover the hybrid elements for now, and the string section. So strings and brass and percussion are the hybrid elements, or the traditional orchestral elements, and then the hybrid elements is this synth section. So let me make sure that we are turned on here. Okay, that's cool. We are turned on. So I've done strange things there. So the synths, I'm quite proud of these synths, actually. First one, I have called it Deckard. And anyone, I suppose if anybody is into the genre of sci-fi, so I was going for like a Blade Runner kind of a vibe here. There was crazy long sustain there for some reason. It's still going. So good. Cephalopod. So I used Alchemy synth for this one. Ghost voices. So Cephalopod is a reference to the Denis Villeneuve Arrival. So the great thing about this one is how much it modulates and it expands. Cephalopod. Escape, presumably Escape from New York, or Escape from, to a lesser extent, Escape from LA. So this is my John Carpenter impression. So Escape is, and that one, I made that one on Alchemy too. So all of these synths, they are already existing in, they're already existing in Logic. So there is nothing new here. Flynn this is the main sound that I used here. And I'm going to turn off, so we had this kind of sound. So if you look at the reference track that I used for this, it's one of the tracks on Tron Legacy, which is an awesome soundtrack, by the way. you can check it out. So yeah, please feel free to say hi if you're in the chat. I'll be checking it every couple of minutes. So this was made with the ES2, which is kind of the flagship synth on Logic Pro, and it's just awesome. Now how I got this kind of on its own, it sounds pretty boring. So there's a nice attack and a lovely decay. Now how I got this the arpeggiator figure was come into MIDI effects, and you'll find this here, the arpeggiator. See, here it is. I don't know if you can see this, how big it is, but it gives you the arpeggiation of your chords. So another fun fact is, and this will be of use to composers specifically, is I use the Chopin trick here, which is if you start a chord in first inversion. So I'm just going to take this off for a minute and explain this as best I know how. So say for example we start first inversion of G major, B, D, G. And the trick here is we take any one of those notes and move it down a semitone. And then we make a progression using that philosophy. So here we have G. I'm going to move down the G to F sharp. Now I'm going to move down my D to D flat. Then the B moves. So now we're in like B flat 9 kind of territory. Then move. So we're in a totally new key then. So a really simple way of getting kind of complicated kind of sounds from a simple idea. So just take first inversion of a major chord. So in this case we had B, D and G, and then just move any one of the three notes down a semitone to a new chord. And you can just keep going down by semitones in any way you want, and you know, turn it into a progression. So that's what I did there. Then we have so that's our arpeggiator back on. Then I wanted a little bit of help in the low end, so I just copied over this Flynn bass. Yeah, I wanted that driving. So I cheated a little bit. You could draw in all that if you really want. So I just arpeggiated 16 notes, but I believe it's just a long held MIDI note. Someone call it cheating, I call it efficiency. So yeah, so we put it all together. Oh, I'll come back to my Celeste in a minute because I like that. So let's put these synths together and have a listen. I'll just skip through. So we had our low bass, and then here. We've got our cephalopod, give a nice ambient texture. Kind of sounds like it's bowed, which is cool. So again, this is all available in the template in the link there if you want to go and get it. Half price today for Black Friday. So check it out. These synths will be preloaded, and you do need to have your own VSTs for loading into your orchestral bits. I used the Spitfire BBC Discover, I think it was called, or the new one might be called Discover, but there is a new one out. They've updated this, and it is way better sounding than this. So obviously, if I was doing this on a professional kind of as a professional example, I would be using kind of like not nicer, but well, yeah, maybe more fancier plugins. But these plugins sound really good and really close. So a little bit of care and attention. They're free, so you know, and follow along. Like, I mean, this template is relatively easy to make. It'd take you a couple of hours maybe to make it, but it is perfectly accessible to you to make for free if you have Logic. So bear that in mind. And that's something that, especially this time of year when Black Friday comes, and it's like a new sample library is going to fix all of my problems because it's going to give me the sound that I want to sound like. But really and truly, like, there is so much to be said for using all of this incredibly powerful software that's already given to you in the box. And this is one of the reasons why Logic is such an amazing DAW, because they give you so much stuff for free. Now, we can have a war of DAWs down the line if you're feeling up for it. The only thing I would say in terms of DAWs and being professional is, regardless of what DAW you use, at some point in your career, you will be sitting in front of Pro Tools. There is just no two ways about it. Studios use it. It is industry standard. So my advice is no Pro Tools. So you're going to, like, if you use your DAW of choice, whatever that is, for your orchestral mock-ups or for how you like to write and compose, at some point you will be using Pro Tools. And the more you know about getting around Pro Tools and how quickly you can do that, the better it will be. And my advice for that would be, when you sit down and you're kind of getting to grips with Pro Tools, keep a little Pro Tools journal of how to do things, because you might sit down in front of Pro Tools, you learn it really well, and then you go back to your using your DAW, and then a year later you're sitting in front of Pro Tools and you go, oh, how do I do this again? Little journal, little note section, because the DAWs tend to adapt to the way that you use them, if that makes sense. So like your own kind of, coming back to artistic choices again, you are going to use a DAW in a slightly different way than everybody else. Like, in broad strokes, everyone uses it the same way, but you might like to color code things in a certain way. You might like a certain mixing and mastering chain. You might like, you might not like to have like orchestral score order when you're making your orchestral mockups. Whatever it is, you are going to have some sort of idiosyncrasies that are specific to you, and having a little journal and keeping track of that is really important. Anyway, I'm going to move on to a couple of other elements here. Let's have a look at the strings. Oh, but before we go looking at the strings, let's have a look at this guy. This is the trade secret of orchestral mockups. And not just orchestral mockups, but it's also a trade secret in songwriting and production as well. Although sometimes this is used kind of to help with the bass. I am referencing this super helper, as I call it. The super helper is a way of getting really big sounding low end. Like, so the first thing that I wanted to learn when I was starting with orchestral mockups and things is, how do you get that giant cinematic bass sound where if you go to see an orchestra, yes, the bass is there, but not in the way that when you're sitting in a cinema and you hear, say, the best example I can think of is when I saw Interstellar in the cinema. And the sound was just so incredibly overwhelming, and especially the low end, that I wanted to learn how to do that. Now, when I play this, if you're listening to it on your mobile phone, bear that in mind. You are not sitting in a cinema right now. So you're not going to be overwhelmed by bass frequencies. But if you're at home and you have some studio monitors, turn them up. If you're listening in headphones, you should be able to hear it as well. But in the overall context of your mix, or if you were lucky enough to hear this kind of stuff in a cinema and mixed for, whatever it is, surround sound speakers, it's really impactful. So really simple. Gives you a ton of low end information and just gives you kind of this feeling, the rumbling feeling. So when I add that into the context of the rest of the track, you'll hear, I'm just going to play like 2 bars before it comes in. So when it comes in here, so we got this super low end. I like to call it a super helper. This is one of my idiosyncrasies. What is the super helper? It's like if you add a sub kick to a bass. So drummers and producers will know what I'm talking about. Wow. Yeah, I need to switch cameras for that next time. Anyway. Oh, we got some people on. Hello, people. So say hello in the chat if you're knocking around. We'll be here for another 10 minutes or so. So with the strings then, the strings just broke up the main kind of chords. And this is another thing that I'm really conscious of, is this legato strings in film scoring writing. And it's something that I'm really conscious of trying to build on in terms of my own compositions, because much and all as I like this sound, this has become a very kind of trope kind of sound, because a lot of us composers are coming from a place of we're inputting MIDI on a keyboard, and as such we tend to get long held chords. We're not thinking as much in terms of voice leading or rhythmic interest, or even melodic interest. Melodies don't move as much as they used to do. And I'm guilty of it here, but it's something that I really want to work at. So knowing as well with my orchestrations, I'd like to use woodwinds better. I would like to write less long held legato parts for for my string section and my horn section. And this comes over time and also comes over kind of score study and listening. So when you're next time you're kind of out and about and you have the radio on and maybe you're listening to your local orchestral or classical music channel, have a listen to the orchestrations, what's going on. And the more you kind of start deep diving into those things, the more you realize how unbelievably creative and talented these composers were to put these things together in their mind and to audiate these things in their heads. So it's definitely a lost art and something that I want to do more of in terms of getting better as a composer. But here is my contribution, such as it is. That's just introducing the bass there. So if I introduce the super helper as well, it just gives that bass and super weird. The thing I'll mention there is don't be afraid of your articulations. It's very tempting to just play everything with longs, but your shorts and pizzicatos and tremolos. Okay. Tremolos, especially on a high violin, super brittle sounding and just kind of eerie. The bass, we might get time. Before we finish up, I want to talk about this guy. He's my favorite. Now, I normally wouldn't use this particular Celeste. There's a company called the Crowhill Company, and they make a Vault series, which is a series of free plugins. I don't know if the Celeste one is still available, but it might be like €3 or €4. Or it might be 10. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's pretty cheap. And the Celeste, I just think, is such a versatile instrument. Now here I used it for texture. And it's very panned. But it gives this creepy kind of effect. And I also put the arpeggiator on it. Great for textures, and with a pitched delay on it too, and tons of resonance. So barely noticeable in the actual final mix, but when we add gradually. So it's textural, and I actually love the kind of hybrid textural kind of soundscapey stuff. Maybe it's the guitar player in me. So that's it. It's a relatively simple track, but I think came out very effective. And yeah, if you're enjoying the sound of that, or you like it, the template is available there in the link in the chat, and I'll also put it in the description for anyone that happens to stumble along this live stream. I will be back again next week doing more coffee and composing. So please get in touch. If you have something that you would like to have a look at, and something that you want to go over compositionally. I'm here to learn as much as kind of figure things out. So this live session is kind of a hang. So yeah, if it's something new, absolutely, let's throw it on and see how we go with it. Or fire up your own DAW, and you can leave me talking in the background to my coffee friend here, Wilson. And if any coffee companies want to sponsor me for, please do. Or, big important VST companies too. Anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel and come and hang out next week. And yeah, check out the newsletter too. There's more film scoring stuff in there. And if you're really feeling like you want to hang some more, I am going to be jumping over to Substack to do a little live chat and a hang right now. So I might see some of you there. If not, I would see some of you next week. And yeah, check out Template, check out the YouTube channel, check out the newsletter, and yeah, hit me up, say hello, and see you on the next one.